are, and we welcome to the program now Representative Rob Roberson. He represents District 43, which includes Oktibbeha and Winston counties, serves as the chair of the House Rules Committee. Beautiful day out there, Representative Robertson, isn't it, though?
It is absolutely beautiful. I tell you, it's a lot warmer than it was yesterday, so I'm glad to be here.
That's what I heard. The wind shifted around a little bit from out of the north to the south today, and that's moderated the temperatures. But gorgeous sunshine, beautiful downtown Starkville, and you just told me we're going to have a bunch of food to eat as well down here, right?
There's plenty. If you are hungry, come downtown. We can take care of you.
Well, it's homecoming. You can celebrate Mississippi State's homecoming with Tailgate the Town. That's happening, I believe, today. And then there's also a Christmas open house coming up on Sunday, November the 12th. You can enjoy deals at the unique shops and boutiques, perfect for holiday shopping. All right, so besides the beautiful weather and the Mississippi State homecoming that is scheduled for tomorrow, and just a slate of great college football in store for us, and certainly in the state of Mississippi at Ole Miss as well, we got an election coming up on Tuesday, in case you hadn't noticed.
I did. I noticed.
We got an election coming up. Let's talk about your race first. What's going on?
I'm good. We didn't have an opponent this time, so my wife is thrilled.
I got you. Well, and a lot of folks have pointed out to me that we have a number of legislative races where there is no opposition. So, and I think we had Representative Lee Yancey on the other day, and he said, well, that either means I'm doing a good job or nobody wants to do this job, one or the other.
I don't think that many people really want to do this job, to be real honest with you. The bulk of the people out there that I talk to, I do think they think I'm doing a good job, but the reality is that, you know, to leave home for 3 or 4 months out of the year and leave your business, that's a tough pill to swallow, and especially tough on a family.
Yeah, well, I mean, because you don't make enough money really to make any kind of decent living, spending 3 months a year down there at the Capitol. It's a little bit of pay and some expense reimbursement, but for almost all of them, I would say, it's a far less than what they make in their private life.
The bulk of the members that I talk to, serving their people is really in their heart, and this is across the board, whether they're Democrat or Republican. The reality is that the bulk of your House members and your Senate members, they're people that love their community, that want to do a good job for their community. Now, we don't always agree on how to get there, but the reality is I think that's where their heart is.
Well, having got to know so many of them, both privately in a social setting and then publicly down at the Capitol or here on the show, I would agree with that. I would absolutely agree. I
had someone tell me one time whenever I first started getting into politics, they said, Rob, there are two types of people that get in politics. There are people that want to do something, and there are people that want to be somebody. Which do you want to be? and it's a lot of truth in that. I've always wanted to make certain that my community was the best it could be, and there's lots of projects that we're moving forward with and trying to get things going here. We've got one of the largest economic development projects in the state's history, and so it's a wonderful thing to be a part of, and it does take a community. I think I've heard it said that it takes a community to raise a child. Well, I can tell you it takes a community to do economic development.
No doubt about it. And Joe Max Higgins, who's the CEO of the Golden Triangle Development Link, is on the program later on, and what a gem he is. He's been instrumental in much of the success enjoyed in the Golden Triangle in terms of economic development. So did you happen to catch the debate?
I did. I did.
Any thoughts?
You know, as a political junkie, you can't help but love the back and forth.
Absolutely.
There was a lot of sparring that happened. I think that Brandon Presley's game plan was to go in and try to shake the governor and make him feel less than in his posture and pose, and he did a very good job of doing that. But you know, the reality is that I think Tate considers himself more of a workhorse, not a show horse.
That's right.
So I think in the long run, I don't think it changed anybody's mind.
I think that's probably true. That's a good way to put it. I don't know that any minds were changed. I think the key is going to be, as it almost always is, as you well know, having run races, is folks got to get out and vote.
Absolutely.
That's the big deal.
You know, the one thing that really is interesting to me is the bulk of the people that like to complain, whether it be on the internet or whatever, if you really look at what they do and the fact that some of them don't vote.
Yeah.
That blows my mind that you'd
Yeah.
have the audacity to call someone and fuss about something, but you don't even take the time to go vote. So we really have to push forward and make people understand that it's time to as I've heard it said, put your money where your mouth is. Show up and vote. Get involved. Be a part of your community and do some things that make your community better.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Did you have any particular reaction to the various assertions and positions on the key issues I just said? You may have heard before in the last segment, I should say, that over a quarter, roughly a quarter, slightly more than a quarter of the hour was dedicated to just the subject of Medicaid expansion, which is incredible to me when you think about that.
I think Medicaid expansion is something that's on everybody's mind. Let me say this. I think that we should never, as Republicans, back up from having that discussion. We should always be willing to look at these things and see what would be the benefit and what would be the downside. This money doesn't fall from heaven. This is taxpayer money, regardless of how you look at it. And to suggest that you're going to have hospitals that don't close if we expand, I think that's not a fair assessment. It's not a fair assessment at all. The reality is that you're still going to have problems, and you're still going to have some situations out there. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't need to look at situations and try to figure out what the best remedy for some of this is, but healthcare in general is going through a complete change, and Mississippi is not the only place that's having these problems.
Yeah.
So I do find it a little bit disingenuous to suggest that expansion of Medicaid is going to somehow be the silver bullet that solves this problem. It's not, but we shouldn't back away from being willing to have the discussion.
Yeah. So Commissioner Presley said that when asked, you may have heard us play that in the last segment, when asked, you're dealing with supermajority Republicans in the legislature, should you be elected, how would you get legislation to your desk through the legislature? And he says, well, privately there are many Republicans that support Medicaid expansion, and that's why he thinks that it's viable. Your thoughts?
I don't know who all he is talking to. I mean, I certainly would not suggest that he is making things up. I don't think anybody wants to necessarily go down that road. But the reality is that once you sit down with 122 of us, and you're going to find out that we have a mixed barrel. I'm one of these people that have never been opposed to having the discussion. What I am opposed to is making bad decisions, and to go out here and use this as a political tool to win any election, to me is a problem. And you cannot go out here and sell people a bill of goods and then underperform.
You got to believe, though, that the Presley consultants, the campaign consultants, and he's well funded. He's got some sophisticated people advising him that are very experienced at this, have somehow figured out this is a winning issue for him, because they absolutely pound it. It's him, it's the Democrat Party, and their apparatus as well. I received more emails this morning. I'm on both email lists, and they're just relentless about that. But they're a bit disingenuous, I think, in saying that, oh, yeah, this just keeps the rural hospitals solvent, or makes them solvent, and avoids any closure. Well, we're seeing problems across the country. I just talked about that in the last segment, including in California, in the Medi-Cal program. That's their version of Medicaid. Hospitals there are struggling. So I think it's a much broader conversation to address this health care issue than just Medicaid expansion.
I agree 100%. And I'm not even suggesting that we shouldn't open this up. I don't think you can have to be 100% one way or 100% the other. There is a balanced approach to this that would make some sense. Let's look at it. Let's do what it takes to bring us together as a state, not Democrats, Republicans, but as a state, and manage our money, manage our people, manage the healthcare system in a way that will make sense, not just sit out here and try to get elected. The reality is it's easy to get elected. It's hard to actually
No doubt about it. You're so right about that. And I totally agree with the governor when he says our objective should be to get people off of welfare and get them into gainful employment. And you wonder when Mr. Presley keeps saying these are working people. Well, okay, well then why is it they don't have coverage? How can we work with their employers to figure out a way to get commercial coverage, which is way better than Medicaid, honestly. So we got to get creative.
Absolutely, and that's where the reality of us coming together and coming up with some balance to this.
I agree. Representative Roberson, appreciate you joining us, and good luck on the football game this weekend.
Thank you.
Yes,
appreciate
sir.
you.
We're going to step aside for a break right here. When we come back,